You look like a shop teacher.
I got my shop apron on. Jill. Okay, well when she comes out, why don't you lead a set of the sticks, and then
Yeah.
we'll go into move number 4.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, move number 4 is called different things, but basically three dan. Master Zhang used to call it three dantians, open and closed. So you have a lot of dantians. I've read that in the really esoteric realms, you have 44,000 dantians in your body.
But who's counting?
But who's counting? Um, of course, this Dantian here is the Dantian. It's truly the heart of the energy body. Um, but different schools, different philosophies, kind of look at the Dantians a little differently. So the main Dantians are on the center line. And some schools say they're the same thing as the chakras. Others say, well, they're related to the chakras, but they're a little different. So, to take it any way you want. Um, Personally, I think they're the same thing as the chakras. Right? How you approach them is a little different in the Indian system and the Chinese system, but those are minor changes. So in the Tai Chi way of looking at things, there are three main dantians. And again, which dantians those are is a little different from school to school. But ours are, right, the dantian here, this is actually called the middle dantian. The third eye is the upper dantian, and the root chakra is the lower dantian. Some systems put the upper dantian at the heart rather than at the third eye. But those are minor squabbles, all right? So we're going to assume this is the upper, the middle, and the lower. And what three dantians open and close is about about opening and closing the body at those three dantians. So you do the upper dantian first, and then the middle, and then the lower. Very similar to what we did earlier with charging the dantians, only now it's just really opening and closing, right? Okay, so when you do this exercise, you start by placing the hands about shoulder width apart and put your mind on the Lao Gong in the center of the palm. And you should feel like these two things are connected. And you don't actually start the exercise until you feel those 2 points heating up. All right? The sensitivity and putting your mind on there should make you feel as if those 2 points are heating up, and they probably are heating up. Another way to think about this is that you're actually holding something in between, so they're connecting, and you can see why the Tai Chi Bang is the length that it is, right? About your shoulder width. And then when you open and close, so you start here, and then open. Now, when you open, right, relax, right? When you open, everything opens. Your physical body, your energy body, your spiritual body, right? Your mind, your eyes, your chi, everything opens, right? Open, open. All right. And then when you close, everything closes. And so on. So you open and close from the Dantian. You're going to open when you're doing the upper register. You open from the third eye, but you're also opening from the Dantian. So it's not exclusively one or another. Really, the whole system opens and closes. This is Master Feng always felt that this was a very powerful exercise. So he did a lot of this exercise for Tai Chi. Right? And in his writings, he makes note of a number of things, and I printed off a couple of them here. And they're just, these are English translations of the Chinese. And even in the Chinese, because I can just hear him talking, even in the Chinese, they're just little, he just throws a sentence out and it sounds kind of prosaic, right? But if you know his larger writings, you realize, well, that's just a little clue to a whole chapter, right? So let me read one of these things here. When open, all opens. When closes, all closes. So that's what I mean. It's just a little sentence. Okay, so it's really easy to just read that and go, yeah, okay, and on you go. But he elaborates on that a great deal in some of his other writings. So it's really important to feel. It's like every cell in your body is opening, right? I mean, every cell is opening, not just this larger movement, but all these smaller movements too. Every part of your mind is opening. Every part of your energy is opening. You're opening yourself up to the world, right? And the same with closing. Right? But I wanted to read you this. Tranquility overrides all. Think of Dantian. Gaze at Dantian. Listen to Dantian. When thinking big, open. It has no outside. When thinking big, it has no outside. You fill up the universe, the entire universe. There is nothing outside you. All right? When thinking small, that is when you're closing, it has no inside. You close to this absolute point. There is nothing inside. You have closed to the center. You have opened to the periphery of everything.
Is that the primordial point, like right before the big expansion?
One would think so, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and what you're really doing is repeating the original creative act of our universe. All right? So this would give you to think that by repeating this all the time, you're aligning yourself with the universe. It also may be making a comment on the universe. So you know there are theories. There are theories of cyclical universe in physics. They're mostly discounted now, but that probably means they're actually true, and they'll eventually come around to them again. So it's sort of something like this. Do not know whether you are in the hand or the hand is in you. Don't make a differentiation whether you're in the hand or the hand is in you. And of course, the hand is just symbolic. Right? It is like swimming in water. The spirit and the shape move together like water. Now that's something that was really important to him, and I've read a number of things, including some poetry that he wrote along those lines. Tai Chi is like water. The spirit and the shape, that is the body, flow together like water. Open and close comes naturally. The chi flows naturally in you. And then he always goes on to say, don't think about your breathing. Just breathe naturally. But but despite the fact that he says that, one of the reasons that I really love Hunyuan Qigong is because it is so rhythmic, so simple and rhythmic. It just naturally brings you into a pattern of breathing, which is, in fact, the right pattern. I know why he says just breathe naturally. He doesn't want you thinking about your breathing. You should be thinking about, opening and closing. No, that's not the right phraseology. It's not that you should be thinking about it. You should be it. Right? There's no difference between your hand and you. Right? Nevertheless, the breathing is actually a really important part of it. And if you can find that natural rhythm, I think it's a really powerful part of these exercises. However, his advice not to think about your breathing, not to be trying to breathe in a certain way is absolutely right. It has to come absolutely naturally, all right? And in this one, it does. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now, to me, that breathing pattern feels absolutely natural. But it probably, at least in part, feels natural because I've been doing it for 30 years. When you breathe out, purse your lips like you're whistling. That will extend your exhale. So maybe you inhale to the count of 4, and then you exhale to the count of 6 or even 8. And to do that comfortably, breathe in through the nose and then out through the lips. But it's not like this. All right. Like you're blowing out a candle.
Mhm.
All right.
And
Okay. Now,
just another point is the tongue to the roof of the mouth.
yes, when you breathe in, the tongue should be on the roof of the mouth, right behind the teeth. When you breathe out, you just sort of naturally drop your tongue because you're going to breathe out through your lips. So again, you shouldn't spend any time thinking about this or trying to do it. So, okay, maybe for a couple of weeks you got to work on getting the rhythm down and everything. But after that, just let it come naturally. Because what you should be focusing on is what's going on with your energy. Tanjong. Mingmen. Tanjong. Mingmen. Tanjong. Mingmen. Energy up the back, over the top of the head, down the front to the perineum, up the back again. Right? So you're doing a microcosmic orbit, a forwardly circle. Okay, so let's do a set of those again. So just remember, keep your mind on the Lao Gong and the line between them. Keep your mind on the forward-going microcosmic orbit. Keep your mind on the upper, middle, and lower Dantian. And then don't keep your mind on any of it, right? Keep your mind on your breathing too. So you have to practice all this for a couple of weeks. And a good way to do it when you practice this is practice any of these moves actually, rather than practicing them inside the larger routine. Practice each move individually. So maybe I'm just going to do this move for 15 minutes, right? So maybe I'll do 9 of them, upper, middle, and lower, and then I'll do it again, and then I'll do it again. And each time you do it, pick something different to focus on. And just do that for a couple of weeks until you've got all the pieces. And then when all the pieces feel natural, what'll happen, if you're like everyone else, what'll happen is you'll just forget about it and you'll just be doing it, right? Okay, let's do it. Center chest, lower back, center chest, lower back. Center chest, lower back. Open up, fill up the whole universe, and close to a single point. Center chest, lower back. So a couple other points about this exercise. This is a really important exercise for Tai Chi. Watch. If you know the form, you'll notice that that opening and closing happens all the time. Essentially, the whole form is opening and closing. opening and closing in a million different ways. When you open, your chi should go out and fill your whole body. And of course, your whole body is filling the whole universe. They use that metaphor for a reason. Usually our chi is just kind of asleep inside our body as we're doing our daily tasks. This is about waking your chi up so that when you move, right, when you open, everything is opening. Right? When you close, everything is closing to a single point. That's what makes this work as a martial art. But it also is what makes it work as a health art. Because it's, your chi is your life energy. So if it's just sort of lumped in the middle, if you spend most of your time sitting on a couch watching TV, eating cheese niblets or something, right? your poor chi is going to be in pretty bad shape. So this is about getting your chi out, right, and shaking it out and getting it to truly fill your body actively, right? To fill your body actively, not just to be passively inside, but to fill your body, right? And then condense again, right? And then open again, right? It becomes very active. So when you open, your chi goes out to the edge of your skin in every possible direction, right? And it goes into your muscles and your tendons. And you can feel it. Right? When you close, right? When it goes out into the muscles and tendons, it should be hard. When you close it, now it goes down into the bones and it's soft. Kind of interesting. Most people think, because that for instance in Tai Chi is a joint lock. Most people think that when you do a joint lock, you should be really hard. No. It's just the opposite. You're not putting something into somebody, you're drawing something out of them. Right? What you're doing is manipulating their bones, and you're drawing their energy out. How do you draw energy out if you're pushing energy in? Joint locking Qigong is very tricky. It's tricky to get because our minds sort of work just so much of Tai Chi is totally counterintuitive at first. But once you sort of start to catch on to it, you start to go, oh, okay, yeah, of course. Of course. If I want to draw this person's energy out in order to control and manipulate that person's energy, then I need to be yin, not yang. Now, when Master Zhang did it to you, it felt like he was really working on you, right? So he would take your, what could I say? Physically, it was strong, but energetically, he was creating a reaction in your body, in your mind and your body. And then he was taking control of that reaction, if that makes any sense. Someday when Kevin or somebody is up here, I'll demonstrate it. For most people, for 90% of people out there, it works really well and really easily. For 10% of people who just have an intuitive understanding of what's going on, it's much more difficult. Right? But there are ways to trick them into falling for it, right? Anyway, just remember when you do this, when you open out, right? Open out into your muscles and tendons. And then when you close into your bones. That's part of closing to that single point. And open. Oh, and after you practice this for a while, then you start bringing some of that mentality into all the other moves. Oh, there's an opening there, and then a closing. So I'm opening, and then I'm breathing in and closing. And you find that that mentality starts to percolate through into all the exercises in this routine, into all the exercises in other routines, and into Tai Chi, because they're all the same thing, right? Questions?
Just a comment. I was about joint locking.
Yeah.
I do some of it, but I'm fairly new to it. I found that it's most effective. It's really counterintuitive. It almost feels like your arms are emptying. It's like there's no tension in there when it's most effective. If there's a lot of tension, you're focusing, you can't really do anything. But if when you close down, it's like there's not much happening in your arms, your joints. Their joints it is, but in yours, not much.
Yeah, that's another version of what I was just saying. Let's say that you are trying to perform a joint lock, and you're really using your muscles in your arms and your forearms. That means all that stuff is tensed up. All right, if you're trying to essentially, let's just say, communicate with this other person, and you're trying to feel and then draw their energy out, how can you do that if you're all blocked up? Tension in the body is a form of blockage, right? Now, how can I say this? It's okay to be strong as long as that strength is not a form of blockage. And I know that sounds this is the problem with language. It's possible to be strong and still to be open so that your energy flows in both directions. As long as that works, you can be physically strong. But when your physical strength is also accompanied by a kind of energetic, do you guys know the word tetanus? Right?
Yeah.
Tetanus is a medical term. It means when a muscle locks up, right? And then there's the viral disease called tetanus too. But
lockjaw.
yeah, lockjaw, exactly. But tetanus is itself a medical term. If you get one of those horrible leg cramps at night and your leg is just like this, right? That's tetanus. So if you go into a kind of tetanus, trying to do this and force this in here, that's not going to work. Instead, yeah, you can be strong, right? but it's got to be the same way a panther is strong. Watch it. There's lots of videos. Look up Black Panther on Google, right? And watch a video of a panther walking through the forest. It's like water, but it's strong, right? And if a danger comes or the panther sights a prey, it's immediately, right, into a different mode, and it can change modes immediately because it's not tensed up. This is one of the secrets of Tai Chi as a martial art, and actually all martial arts, Eastern martial arts train in this, is don't tense up because it ruins your timing. If I'm gonna, have a little sparring session with this guy over here, and I start all tense, right? That means I now have to untense before I can do anything. If he comes to me and starts to shove me and I just tense up, well, the game's over. Because he's gonna push me over before I can untense and do anything about it. So you train and you train and you train and you train to stay calm and relaxed no matter what the situation is. It's easy to say, it's not very easy to do. So it's a kind of training that you have to have over and over and over and over. Part of the training is to understand how to accept energy, and this exercise is a great exercise for that because it has to do with opening and closing. Suppose somebody comes in and they're just going to shove you, all right? Well, don't just stand there and take it right in the middle, right? What you ought to do, or one thing you can do, is just turn your body to them a little bit, so they're not pushing you on your center line. They're pushing you on one shoulder or the other. And if they're doing that, then you can do this. It sounds very simple, but it works, right? What energy is this? Peng, Lu, Ji, or An?
Lu.
Lu. Right? Lu energy. So maybe his hand comes here. He's coming for your center, right? But you intervene a shoulder, so he ends up pushing you on the shoulder. Okay, then I can just go like this. That's one of the major ways of blocking. I'm not actually blocking him, I'm blocking myself. What do I mean by blocking myself? I mean the energy is coming out of my inner lagong into my own body. I'm not blocking him by trying to block him like this. I'm blocking myself. And what will happen is you become like Teflon. It's like you're oiled or something. Right? He's pushing. We'll have to do a retreat sometime, and we'll do this, and do this with a partner and find out what happens when you practice this the first time. Is you have to try it over and over and over and over, because say Jill and Jack, you guys were partners and you're doing this. So Jill, you put your hand on his right shoulder, and he's going to try and block you. But what he will do is, instead of the energy going into himself, it'll go into you. All right? And okay, I'll try again. I'll try again. I'll try again. And usually about 12, 13, 14 times, then it starts to happen. It goes into him, not into you. So what's happening is you're reacting to a habitual situation. Ever since you were a little kid, you're little tiny kids screwing around with each other, wrestling and fighting, right? You always pay attention to the other person. You don't pay attention to yourself. It's perfectly natural. So this is a higher level kind of thing, right? Have the energy go into yourself. And it's like, yeah, I understand those words. I understand what you mean, but when somebody puts their hands on you, the energy will go into them. You will block into them, not into yourself. And you do it, and you just keep doing it, and then finally you go, oh, okay, boom, right? It's about identifying and changing a habit of movement. And I've taught this to many people over the years. And I tell them all this stuff, right? And the energy goes into you, not into the other guy. And they'll immediately they'll go into the other guy. So it's like it's just the way we do things. But once you catch on and you realize, well, what does that do, right? When the energy goes into you, right? You're opening, but in another way, you're also preparing to close or actually closing at the same time, right? This is a kind of it's a kind of opening, right? But for the energy to come into you, it means it's closing down in your Dantian. And what does that mean? That means you're ready for the counterattack. Right? This is another great advantage of Tai Chi as a method of thinking about the body in the martial arts. Because the truth is you actually open and close at the same time. Your defensive move is the same thing as an offensive move. This is defensive. This defensive move prepares the offensive move. Does it make sense? So there's no wasted time. It's not like, oh, I defend myself and now I got to come back and counterattack. No, they're the same thing. And what will happen when he's coming in, he's yang. This is yin. Right? He's yang, this is yin. As you complete your movement, he's going to shift from yang to yin. And that's when you hit him with your yang. Okay, this exercise that we've been practicing is truly a foundational exercise for Tai Chi. It's also excellent for your health because it's waking your chi up and bringing it out, right? Waking it up, bringing it back in, right? So you do this every day, you will become a monster, right? Yes, Jill.
Yeah, I'm just curious. It's making particularly my upper body cold.
Usually what's happening when part of you gets cold is one is breaking out of some kind of habitual tension. Often habitual tension is not even consciously felt. So you might have habitual tension in your neck or your shoulders or your groin or wherever, your knees, right? And when you actually start to move them, you feel how cold they actually are. Because tension causes coldness. Right? When you're nice and limber, your hands warm up, right? I've got a guy that I'm corresponding with, a young beginner through the YouTube channel, and he's talking about how cold he's trying to practice how cold his hands get. Well, I don't know him, I've never seen him, etc., etc. But I can tell from his emails that he's trying way too hard. He's just not, it's just relax, son, just relax. Right? But he's so focused on achieving something that he's tensing everything up. I can see, I can feel it. All right. So, yeah, of course, your hands get cold. We used to, well, I'm going to end with this little story. We used to practice in Golden Gate Park, and this was in the music concourse before it got renovated and they put in the underground garage and everything. And before all that happened, there were viaducts under the ring road that led to other parts of the park. So there was a tunnel. Right? That was a pretty big tunnel. You know, it must have been 20 feet high, 15, 20 feet high, and 20 feet wide and 100 feet long. And we'd be out in winter practicing. And in the 90s, I don't know about now, but in the 90s, it was cold in the winter in Golden Gate Park. It would be raining, it would be cold, there'd be slush, you know, ice and slush on the ground. And we would duck into one of those tunnels and we would do our morning practice in there. And by the time we got in there at 9 o'clock, we were all frozen. And it's raining, and the viaduct was also turned out to be a drain for the water from the music concourse. So we were trying to find places to stand that water wasn't running through. It was freezing, and there's no lights in the viaducts, right? So we're in the dark, freezing cold. Master Zhang would do this. And then he'd hold his hands out. And I am not kidding you guys. They would be bright red and hot. I mean hot. And his fingers would be swollen up like ballpark franks on the grill. And he would go around and feel everybody's hands. And of course, we were all just ice cold. And he was nice and hot, right? So he would hold some of the ladies' hands between his hands, and he would say, you are very cold. I don't know why. I don't know why. Why are you so cold? Why? You know, relax. You know, relax. Relax. Relax.
Well, if I can say one thing, it's like, yeah, I've got all this coldness up here, but yeah, my hands are warm.
Well, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, it's going to work its way up, and soon you will have hot shoulders too. All right.
That would be nice.
Okay, guys, have yourselves a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good day.